Kia ora. This is a quick video on making documents more approachable if you want more of your students in your classroom to read them. This is kind of a standard document that a teacher might give a class out to read. It's got an image or a diagram here. It's got some bullet points and there's some paragraphs to read. And it is the case that there are many kids these days that get put off by even this amount of reading, and will sometimes turn to their friends for a quick short version if they've read it or something. So this is a few tips I have to sort of get more kids to engage with reading. So the first thing you do, which doesn't suit every English teacher as they teach proper paragraph structure, but websites, newspapers and blogs have learnt that very short paragraphs do keep people reading because it seems more manageable. So what the first thing I would normally do is go through, find those beginnings of sentences and just break things up into really smaller paragraphs, 3 or 4 lines max, and suddenly more kids will think that it's maybe doable just to read that little tiny bit at a time, and it sort of encourages them to read on because every paragraph seems more doable. So that's the first thing I would do. Another thing I do is I learn from magazines and newspapers, and I think that with a couple of clicks I can actually go to formatting and just put this into columns. And now my lines are much shorter, so it seems even more manageable now. You get a little dopamine hit at the end of each line because it feels like you've completed something. And even now this encourages people to read even more. Little tiny short lines, little tiny short paragraphs. Okay. It also, as you can see, has now instantly converted the size of the picture down to the column size, and it's also managed to cram more onto the page. So I've gone from a 2-page document now to a 1-page, which again encourages kids to think, well, there's less to do here. The next thing I do is that there is some kind of tired, particularly when you're looking at a screen, if you're reading things off a screen, but even off paper, white paper is very bright. On a screen you're literally looking pretty much at a light bulb if you're looking at a white page. So it's easier on the eye to go through to page setup and change the papers sort of to a darker colour, and then just simply do a Control or a Command A to highlight all the text and make that a light colour, maybe a white, maybe a light yellow. And again, now it's easier on the eye, and some people will find that easier. Can be easier in different colour combinations for dyslexic people as well, so there's that as well. The last thing I would say is to use more colour to sort of highlight different subtopics within the thing and link things together. If something in this first paragraph is linked to something further down, then it can be useful just to, instead of just highlighting, you might highlight something in this first paragraph and go with a different colour combination there, and they'll link in their brain, they'll link the colours as if they're connected. So down here there might be something to do with that, and I'll highlight something and use that same colour, and then by colour people can start to see connections. That something else here might be a different kind of subtopic, and you start to use something else and say that all the blue is to do with some other subtopic. You see? So colour's really useful at linking ideas on the page. The last thing I would say is if you've got like a summary, or you want like there's a particular part of this that's very much a separate little section, then what magazines tend to do is they will use the sort of highlighting things, or the block. They'll put things into a block of colour. So I can now take, say, that thing, and I can say, well, I'm going to make the whole block yellow, and I'll make the text blue to match the page, and now that's very much a standout different topic, and it's very clearly visually something about something else. And very quickly, the last thing I'd mention is to take your sections and use what is obviously one of the most important tools, because it's listed as the 5th tool on this insert list, and that's horizontal lines. You see it in all magazines and newspapers, but very few students and teachers use them. And what you want to do is, if this first 2 paragraphs is a section, you just want to insert a horizontal line, and it just again makes all of the reading just slightly more approachable and broken up. So horizontal lines can be really important if you want kids to read more. So there's some tips on turning a document into something that maybe looks a bit more professional as well. And certainly all these tricks can get more of your kids reading. Kia ora.